FilmStruggles is an experience-based podcast where we ask all the questions an early filmmaker would make.
With a new guest every week, from experts to people that are starting just like us.
We cover different topics like motivation, work balance, networking, and so much more.
We discuss what to do, what not to do, and how to turn struggles into action.
I am Claudia.
And I am Gabriel. Welcome to FilmStruggles.
You finished your short film and now you have to develop a festival run for it. What festivals should you consider? What to do once you're there? This week's episode on FilmStruggles, it's all about the afterlife of your film once it is ready to be seen.
Our special guest of the week is Kent Donguines, a Filipino-Canadian filmmaker based in Vancouver. Kent has produced numerous short films that have been recognized in local and international film festivals, such as the Whistler, Vancouver, and Toronto International Film Festivals. He's also one of the minds behind Armor Films Inc., a company openly collaborating with up-and-coming film talents in Vancouver, and he sat down with us to share a little bit about his experience with film festivals and festival runs.
So the main thing that we would like to, as I told you, get with this episode, it's how to make the most of the film festivals and use it in our favor to push our careers as filmmakers. So, for example, comparing it into with film school, I am seeing like what I would like to or what I would expect from this episode. It's how to make the most of film festivals, and I'm comparing it to film school. So for example, if now that I've been to film school, if someone would ask me like how can I live the experience to the fullest, I think the common things when you talk to someone is like, okay, you just show on time, attend to classes, and do your homework. That's kind of the common sense that almost everyone would know. But going a little bit deeper, I would say that, for example, my film school experience, I was able to live it to the fullest because I not only did my homework, but I tried to do it better than everyone else. So I would have the opportunity to be on these key role positions and actually learn from experience and doing the things and making mistakes. That's how I would encourage, even though I don't know, like with other classmates that we were on the same class, I think our experiences were completely different just because I had this approach. So that would be kind of my input if you were asking for a film school. But now I'm asking you for film festivals. So kind of, how do you think we can exploit or like make the most of going into a festival, either as an attendee or by having your film submitted? What would you say? How can I make the most of it?
How can you make the most out of it? Well, first of all, film festivals exist for so many reasons. Film festivals exist to exhibit films, to give opportunities to emerging filmmakers, but also established filmmakers. It provides platform for people to see what you can do as a filmmaker, and at the same time see the potential of you creating more content. For me, just based on experience, you could really see so many things and so many ways you could maximize film festivals. First of all, there's a lot of parties, so you can get the most out of it if you go to the parties, you drink and meet people and socialize, because the next thing you know, the person you're talking to could be your next DP, could be your next director, and it could be your next editor. And I think that's one of the best things about film festivals. It sucks right now that most of the film festivals have moved to online. But once everything's good and everyone's back into doing live film festivals, people will be able to do this again. And going back to that thought, film festivals allow you to meet the new people that you will be working with in the future. And at the same time, it provides you opportunities to talk about the next projects you have. That's one of the ways that you could maximize like film festivals, because you don't know if you're talking to an executive producer or a producer or a broadcaster in a film festival. Sometimes it's not on their like festival passes, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're in the film festival, you carry yourself the way you carry yourself every day, and but make it a goal that you talk to about 10, 15 new people a day.
Mm.
If it's a long festival, like for example in Whistler, it was about 5 days. So for us, we really tried our best to network with new people. In addition to hanging out with our own friends in the
Mm-hmm.
film industry and the film community. And with that being said, yeah, we just keep on creating relationships, and
Mm-hmm.
hopefully after the festival we would do a follow-up to these people
Mm. That's
and
very
send them,
important to do the
yeah,
follow up.
send them emails. Hey, it was so nice meeting you, and it was so nice meeting you in Whistler, and I hope I could invite you for over coffee sometimes and
Mm-hmm.
talk about some of our projects, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's something that you're interested to hear about. If you're a DP, of course you want to know from the producers and from the directors, and the same goes with
Mm-hmm.
writers as well. You want to pitch your concepts with other producers and directors as well. So yeah, one key definitely when it comes to film festivals, when you if you want to maximize that opportunity of being there as an attendee or having your film screen there, always learn how to promote not just your film but also yourself.
Mm.
Always learn how to network with people, and always have always have a story in mind that's very close to you.
For quick
Okay.
reference, right? Do you usually have an action plan, like what you said, like talking to 10 people, 10 new people during the festival or things like that, like little achievements you have to check by the end of the festival?
I do have like small achievements, but I also assess in
Mm-hmm.
terms of scale what the festival is. For example, Whistler brings a lot of industry professionals in the festival, so I make it a goal. I look at the directory. I would start sending emails a few weeks prior to the festival and say, hey, I'm also going to be in Whistler, to a
Mm.
particular person, and ask, hey, could we have like a can I meet you for like 10 minutes, can we grab some coffee? So I make it a goal at least to reach out to these people and hopefully get the best out of it.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
And if they say yes, then yo, like that's my 10 minutes with this person, and I want to tell this person how I want to show how passionate I am as a filmmaker,
Mm-hmm.
but I also want to show what kind of stories I wanted to tell.
Mm-hmm.
And once you have that at least laid out in mind and planned and prepared for, it's just gonna, you know, go by so quickly,
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
it just happens. It's not like oh, I talked to 10 people today, check. No,
Yeah.
it's not like you just let it flow, let the
Mm-hmm.
event flow. You also want to make sure that you're there to just have fun and enjoy, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be like so military and like
Uh-huh.
stick to the
Yeah.
schedule. I should be there in this place. I just do it casually, I guess.
I don't know if it's a common mistake or something that happens to people that are just starting, that they go to a film festival, at least that's how I feel, that you want to make the most of it, that you stress yourself way before that even happens, like come so prepared that you start filling your plate so much with so many stuff that there's only so many things that you can do. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, what would you say, especially when you're starting, that you have to focus more on, like, I don't know, preparing something when they, so for when they ask you like what's your next project, you're ready to answer that question, or to show, I don't know, this is my reel and this is my web page.
Mm-hmm.
So because I think that's what happens, like you stress so much at the beginning that when you're there, you're not taking full of the experience, and you are
Mm-hmm.
not enjoying yourself because you're so stressed
Yeah.
for this.
Well, first of all, as an emerging filmmaker, when our student film premiered in Whistler back in 2017, you just have to stop overthinking.
Mm.
You need to stop overthinking about everything. As an emerging filmmaker, you got to embrace the fact that you are new in the industry, so you're allowed to observe.
Mm.
Me and my business partner Max would always say, okay, this year we were able to witness this festival, next year we know what to do. Like on my first year just doing a lot of like film festival run for a student short, every time we're in a film festival we just acknowledge the fact that we are observers. We observe if what kind of people go to like goes to this festival, what kind of projects does this festival like, who are the people that we could easily reach out to, and who are the people who are pretty big
Mm-hmm.
but would need a little bit of boost from someone for us to meet them. As an emerging filmmaker, it's okay for you to be an observer as long as you're creating your own list of like do's and don'ts.
Uh-huh.
And by the following year that you've done your research, you've done your observations, you know how to get into like the arena. Basically,
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
it's like going into battle. You want to know your enemy first, or you want to create a strategy first before you put yourself out there.
Mm-hmm.
and i
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
think and I think that's really important, because we've had a lot of successes in the festival circuit. It's not just because of the film we make. We've had these successes because we've also done our homework, basically, where we try to understand what kind of films specific festivals look for, and also what type of people, what kind
Mm-hmm.
of people, or who are watching these movies, basically.
No, it's really interesting that you said that because I had a very weird experience with Whistler last year because it was my first big festival. And I had no idea what to do. I had no idea how big the festival was. I felt like a small kid in a big adult universe. And I had no idea how to talk to people. Yeah, absolutely. But then once you're there, the pressure is so high that you get like, you get consumed by the anxiety and everything. And I remember that the best moments and the best experiences I had in the festival was when I relaxed and I let things go. And one very weird example that I have for that was that I talked to this big network guy because I let him pass in front of me, like because it was so crowded, the space. I let him cross his path, and then he turned to me like, "What is your name?" And I was like, "What is going on?" And then we introduced each other, and then he's like from a huge network, and it was I just let him cross his path because I was in the way.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of like the most random moments in a film festival tend to be the most unforgettable ones. I was in a power pitch competition for Whistler, and at the same time, I was 2017 because I did have a film in the festival. Netflix was the sponsor of was one of the sponsors of the festival, and they also sent a representative, basically. And unfortunately, on my part, I applied, I signed up for the meeting with that person, and I didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
But there was this time we were just checking the film lineup and the film schedule because we want to start watching films later in the evening. On my peripheral view, I could see the table of that Netflix person empty, like the seat in
Uh-huh.
front of her empty. And then I told Max, I'm like, yo, like her
It's now
table
or
is
never.
empty. Nobody's talking to her. And I was like, should I do it? Should I do it? Should I do it? Should I do it? And then Max was like, just do it. And then here I am walking in straight to her, and I'm like, hi, I'm Kent Donguines. And like, you don't know me, but I'm a filmmaker based in Vancouver. I'm just wondering if I could schedule a meeting with you during the festival. And then she was like, oh, unfortunately, like today's my last day. I'm about to go for lunch in the next 20 minutes, and I'm going back to LA tomorrow. And I was like, can you spare me a few minutes? I just want to talk to you about a few projects I have that you might be interested in. I'm like, can you do it in 10? And I'm like, yeah, I can do it in 10. And then I sat down and finally had the conversation. And then when I came out of the hall, the convention hall, I was like, I can't believe I just did that.
Wow.
Yes. So it's one of those things, but still, like, again, it's another encounter that was
Uh-huh.
very random, but also
Yeah.
very.
You were
Yeah.
not planning for that to
No.
happen.
Yeah.
No.
But like as long as you have like a good attitude and you're like open to it, those things can happen. You never know.
Yeah, but like you said too, during my time, like I'm like, oh my god, I'm here in Whistler, and like everyone's so amazing. And then
Uh-huh.
once you find that like inspiration, because you get inspired by people around you in festivals as
Yeah.
well, you can see how confident they are, and you can see how they just enjoy, and like they still do business, but they also get drunk and party and all those kind of things, right? And like looking at these people, I was like, oh, I could do this. Like I'm this kind of person. Like I'm very approachable, and at the same time, like when it's business, it's business.
Mhm.
So I started embracing that. I always follow my gut, and I always reach out to people, like especially the right people,
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
when you go into film festivals. So
Mhm.
if you are an emerging filmmaker, just going back to that thought, just stop overthinking, enjoy the experience, observe when you have to, and enjoy when you want to.
Yeah.
Like, there's no pressure, like there's no one in the festival who's gonna tell you, oh, you should be booking this meeting, you should be booking
Mhm.
this meeting. Like, nobody's
Yeah.
gonna tell you that.
Mhm.
It's really up to you whether you want to experience the fun side or the business side of film.
Uh-huh.
And film festival exists because they offer both.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
It's up to you to pick which experience you want to get out
Yeah.
of it.
Absolutely.
And now, because now I think we have talked about the experience per se, like going into the festival, either attending or when you have a
Mm-hmm.
short movie, something screening. But what about you have a project and then you start looking which festivals are worth it for your project? Or is that the other way around? Like you look to the festivals and then you make a movie for a specific festival in mind. I don't know, what's your strategy there? What have
Mm-hmm.
worked for you in the past?
I stopped looking at the idea of making a film for a festival.
Okay.
I highly discourage that. Don't create a film just based off a film festival program, because things change and
Uh-huh.
change is constant, right? So like quality, type of stories like change every time, every year. Like in terms of strategy, I'm a very ambitious person. So regardless how small my film is, but I know the potential of the film,
Mm-hmm.
I would aim high and say I want to submit this film to Sundance and hope for the best. And
Yeah.
that is normal
Yeah,
because
I'm the same. I'm the
you are
same.
motivated. You're motivated to get there, and I think it's very valuable, to be that kind of person,
Mm-hmm.
because if you settle for the small ones first, then why are you here? After I create a film, I obviously just submit to like A-list festivals first, and then if the reception is good or bad, then that's when I would reassess. Once I'm done doing my assessment, I would start picking festivals based of genre, based of strength of the film. For example, my film is so strong technically and cine and production design, then I'll focus my film towards that stream.
Mm,
My
okay.
film is good as a sci-fi film, and a lot of sci-fi film festivals like it, so I would put it mostly on like genre film festivals. But yeah, there's so many, like what I told you guys in my class, strategies vary per film, and there's no particular formula on how you want your film or your short to be very successful in the festival circuit.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to embrace the fact that there's a lot of competition, and you just want to rise to the occasion, whether you get selected or not.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not just about getting selected or not, it's also about the process, that you're gonna go through as a filmmaker. If you don't
Mm-hmm.
get selected, then how should you feel as a
Mm-hmm.
filmmaker? Like there are people who don't get selected and they're like, I'm gonna stop sending my film to film festivals, nobody likes my films anyways.
Uh-huh.
But there are people who like, oh, this film festival didn't like it, okay, I'm gonna submit to another one, and then you
Mm-hmm.
end up getting selected. I'm like, okay, there are other people in the film community who appreciates my film, because
Yeah.
every film has a particular audience, and you just have to find it, and it takes time as well. But going back to your question, if I don't get selected, do I go to the festival and then like learn their programming or what kind of films they would pick? No, I would
Mm-hmm.
actually go to the film festival just to enjoy the film festival,
Yeah.
because even if my film didn't get selected, I still have friends who have films that got selected. So that's how I would, that's how I would see it and look at it, instead of being so negative. Like I
Yeah.
want to go to a film festival because I want to show support to other filmmakers who happen to be my
Mm-hmm.
friends, and yeah, and show up and ask questions
Uh-huh.
basically on
Yeah.
how they made their films, and that's how you'll see the difference, I guess, of how people see it.
Sometimes you exactly what you just said, like that happens, like you don't get selected, and I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
at least that's in my case, that starting, and then you see just like your film like just getting every like rejection, that you start to wonder like, is this worth it? Because just sending things to festivals is an investment.
Mhm.
So I don't know, for example, there, rather than getting discouraged of not sending anything to a festival anymore, how to be smart about it, like how do you assess which festivals are worth it?
Yeah, because it has to be a
Yeah.
very conscious decision, right?
Well, first of all, you have a network of creatives around you,
Mm-hmm.
and you just maximize that,
Mm-hmm.
and it's totally okay. So on our end, the way we would do it is we would show it to our friends first. These are people you know, and these are people that you trust in terms of opinions.
Mm-hmm.
So we would send it out to our friends. One of our strategies is like we would send it out to our friends and ask them, hey, what do you think about the film? What is it that you didn't like about the film? Is there anything we could fix? Yada yada. But this is obviously in a certain, like stage of post production.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but at the same time, when the film is done, you still go back to them and say, hey, we finished the film. Do you want to check it out? If they want to check it out, then you send it to them and like, okay, so what is it that you like about it? What is it that you didn't like about it?
Uh-huh.
So you base your strategy off that. Want to get opinions from people who are not in film.
Mm-hmm. To have these
And like,
fresh eyes
yeah,
that
like
tell you,
what
yeah.
would how would an ordinary person with no creative background react to your film?
Mm-hmm.
And once you've done that, how they see it. Like, did the message like come across? Like, did they did they see flaws in terms of like technicalities in
Mm.
the film? Like, was the sound too bad? Was the color too dark? Like, all those kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And once you know that, you know what's good and bad about your film. And that's how you create your strategy. So if
Mm.
there's good and there's bad, obviously you want to take advantage of that good element in your film and you want to
Mm-hmm.
maximize that.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you're like, okay, I'm going to start submitting um, my film to film festivals that are focused towards production design, cinematography, sound, score, all
Yeah.
those kind of stuff. And then make the most out of it, use it as leverage when you apply to other film festivals. So
Mm.
once you've garnered awards, basically, so in your EPK, you tell
Mm-hmm.
and you submit to film festivals, you tell them, hey, this festival said this, we got awards from these
Mm.
festivals.
Yeah.
Maybe you put our film out, and
Uh-huh.
yeah, and then you hope for the best. And next thing you
Yeah.
know, who knows?
Uh-huh.
Either you'll get picked for their festival, or it could be another festival that you
Mm-hmm.
end up applying for.
Speaking of making this strategy based on what's strong and what's not that strong on your film, I'm curious to know if you have any big no-nos when it comes to a festival. Like, when you're seeing like overall the festivals list of like, oh, not this one.
Because there's a ton of festivals.
Yeah,
Like,
so many, especially now in this pandemic universe where everything is online, so many new festivals.
There's so many festivals. Like, Film Freeway alone handles over 8,000 film festivals,
yeah.
and it's crazy. There's a lot of do's and don'ts that people can research, I guess, in terms of what kind of festivals they need to avoid, because there are also festivals that are just meant on like money grabbing film festivals. There are
Mm.
fake film festivals as well. There are festivals that you submit, you pay the submission fee and then you get in. If a festival asks you to pay, let's say $80 for best short film, like the short film category, and then you have to pay extra for like best director, best this, best that. Come on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like legit film festivals won't do that. Would just ask you to pay the one-time fee on the category submission, and then those craft awards just comes with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, that's one of the things. Like, definitely no. I want people to also be more aware of, not it's not a big no, but I want people to be more aware of the smaller film festivals, because even if they are small, but they select your film and they show it to their audience, it's
Mm-hmm.
already an accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of saying the no, I would encourage people to submit to provincial and regional level film festivals, because it is
Uh-huh.
worth it.
Uh-huh.
These are like, some of these festivals happen in like rural areas, and
Mm-hmm.
like they have their very small theater, but people show up and like they watch films and they just
Uh-huh.
enjoy it for the sake of it.
And about now that we're going like into these different types of festivals, like regional and small and big, What about the Laurels? I've seen so many posters with so many laurels. Is that really as important?
I'm
Quality
actually
over quantity? I don't know.
I'm actually guilty of this because um our student film from film school, when we did our festival run, our poster was filled of laurels
Uh-huh.
that forced us to create another poster and put more laurels on that poster because we were still getting film festivals. There are people who would appreciate it.
Mhm.
There are people who would appreciate it and like applaud you for having so many selections and so many awards. Yeah, and then that's when I learned that sometimes it depends if who's watching. It depends if who's receiving or seeing this post,
Uh-huh.
because some people would applaud you for having so many, but some people would also applaud you for having so little but good quality.
Mm.
Like, so I think with your question, like quantity over like versus quality,
Uh-huh.
it could be either. Basically, it depends if who's seeing it, because nowadays when you apply for your next project, for example, people still want to know your accomplishments. And yeah, I think I'm done with the days where laurels is such a big deal for me. I think I've definitely learned quality over quantity, because you at the end of the day you'll still have that list of
Yeah.
festival selections
Uh-huh.
that you could provide to these people. And and yeah, and sometimes it just looks messy if there's so much floral. Yeah,
Yeah, and I think it's, I don't know. That's at least how what I
but that's a
think.
really good question. That's a really good question.
Yeah, but because I don't know. I've been always curious because it's like, does this laurel means that you would have work, or that you're expecting a bunch of calls, or is
Hmm.
only your mom gonna be proud of it? Like, what's what's the whole
Yeah.
deal with that?
Well,
Yeah.
like for us, we really tried to, I guess, diversify the number, like the type of laurels we've
Hmm.
put in our posters. There are times that, like, when your cinematographer wins something, then we would put that because we
Mm.
want to spotlight also the cinematographer.
Uh-huh.
It's really huge to me as a producer to recognize the hard work that my crew have put into the film. So
Hmm.
if my team would get an award or a nomination from a particular film festival, then I would put it, because it's not just me.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's not just the director either.
Yeah.
Like, I think the only bad thing about having so many laurels is that if you're putting like nonsense laurels, I guess, or like a super small online film festival. But if you do have the big, like if you get into like Oscar qualifying film festivals and you put there in your laurel, then I mean, you put the laurel on your poster, then it's just fantastic. But also, like, it's gonna come down to like aesthetic, and then like how
Hmm.
clean would you, like how would you market your film
Uh-huh.
online, yada
Yeah.
yada.
Uh-huh.
But like, again, I've learned that process. Guilty as charged. I've put over 80 laurels on our poster, two posters. Yeah, like definitely quality
Hmm.
over quantity. Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of like the festival run and laurels and like the afterlife of the film once the post is done, I especially talking like in this post pandemic universe that where everything's going online. I wonder what are your thoughts about like festival run, like applying to festivals and sending putting your film out there, but also releasing it online. Like what are the pros and cons, especially as a aspiring filmmaker early steps.
I'm well. I teach film festival and short film distribution for a reason, and I really do value the benefits that you get off a film festival. Sometimes, if you get into a big film festival, people take you more seriously as a filmmaker,
Yeah.
and and I think it's totally okay, because also, like, your film has a lifespan when you want to do your film festival circuit, right? So
Hmm.
it's really up to you if you want to put it online right away, or you want to go through the film festival circuit first. You just have to think as a filmmaker which one is more valuable to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Like, is it more valuable to you as a person that you gain views and your family and friends share it and then hope that it goes viral, or
Hmm.
is it more valuable to you to get it out there and like compete into film festivals, see if people like it, and if programmers enjoy your film, and yeah, just look into what could be the possible outcome for my film in the next 18 months.
Okay.
You know, like you are
Mhm.
not forced to do it, but it's
Mhm.
also a very short time period for your
Yeah.
film.
Mhm.
um, because you can still release it online after 18 months, and who knows, like it could still mean something, it could
Yeah.
still be very timely, and it could still be socially relevant. It's okay to look into the potential success of your film,
Mhm.
and it's also up to you on how, in terms of defining what success means for your film, because success could be more views, success could be popularity, like success could be going viral, but success could also mean getting selected to one of the film festivals that you really want to get in,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
Exactly.
absolutely.
know.
And it's also the work that you put towards any of the two, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And like
Yeah.
in either way there are benefits for both.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's no right answer. It's just how you feel about your film. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Pretty much.
But
I,
sometimes you wonder, like, especially when you're starting, like, no, like, I need to send it to a film festival. Then you start, like you said, overwhelming and overthinking, like, oh,
Mhm.
but it's too expensive, and then
yeah.
I won't have laurels,
Yeah.
and then yeah.
It's just that pressure of like I have to make the best decision at the right time,
Yeah.
and actually the decisions they don't cancel each other.
And like I said earlier, like value the people around you, like especially for me, I think I made good decisions for our student film because I was guided by my mentor. Just value and listen, always listen. Like your
Yeah.
job as a filmmaker is to listen and also acknowledge like the bad or the negative things, I guess, about your projects,
Hmm.
because that's how you become better as a filmmaker.
What would you say is your biggest film struggle right now,
uh,
or that you have experienced in the past? I don't know.
biggest film struggle.
Uh-huh.
um oh my god, I think all filmmakers could agree that the biggest film struggle is there are no enough opportunities for filmmakers and for emerging filmmakers, especially when it comes to film financing and development. I
Mm-hmm.
think we need. I think as a community and as an industry, I like the momentum that a lot of funds and grants has have started opening and advocating for people of color and black filmmakers and like LGBTQ filmmakers. I really like that there's that kind of momentum. But I
Mm-hmm.
think we should still acknowledge the fact that the film struggle that we as filmmakers are going through are getting the access to these things, because there could be different funds we apply to it and then we still don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it should be there should be opportunities for us to tell our stories without going through an intense different like I guess intense stages of development and financing. And I think at the end of the day, once that's figured out, um, there will be less struggles for us to face,
Mm-hmm.
because without money, the more struggles we experience on set,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
And I know I think it's such a shallow problem, because we've heard the government investing $1 billion on something, especially during this pandemic. It really
Mm-hmm.
taught me how important it is to have a creative community who constantly create content,
Mm-hmm.
because this is like art and film and music is what are the things that kept us alive during
Yeah.
this
During this
pandemic,
time.
and sane as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, so film struggle, the biggest film struggle is whatever project I make, it will be money.
Yeah.
It's a very
Okay.
common struggle in
It's a
this
very common.
podcast.
I think we it's time, Gabe, to make an episode about that.
about that.
Yeah. Kent, thank you so much. We really, really appreciate your time. Thank you for meeting with us and for all these insight and
Valuable. Yeah.
knowledge and experience that you have shared with us today. Because it seems like common sense and you know,
Mm-hmm.
like, it's there, just go and do it. But especially when you're starting, you are kind of, I feel like you freak out and you
Mm-hmm.
freeze. So this is the objective, just to show people that you're not the only one freaking out. and
that things don't have to be as hard as they are.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
and it's okay to freak out.
Exactly. It's okay as long as you do something about it.
Yeah, exactly.
After you freak out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ken.
Thank you very much, Ken.
So much.
Thank
Have a
you,
good
and enjoy
day.
the rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to give us a review and share this with someone you think might need it.
Also, share with us your favorite quote.
You can find more information about the podcast and our guests on the website FilmStruggles.com.
Remember to follow us at FilmStruggles on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
Thank you for listening
See you next week with a new guest.
and a brand new struggle.
FilmStruggles is hosted, produced, and edited by Claudia Hernandez Barragan and Gabriel Sousa Nunes.
Executive producer is Gerson Carranza and sound design by Sebastian Sagastumi.